everyone.
Hey.
Hi, Jessica and Miss Nora.
Hey, y'all.
Which version of the book do you have?
Oh, I have the same one you have, and I also have the graphic novel.
Oh, I forgot to read the graphic novel. Okay. I too have the graphic novel. That was gifted to me, and I completely forgot I owned it. Dang. Okay, so now I need to read this.
I only got, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Oh, I said this was a birthday gift gifted to me by somebody named Lena. I don't know who that is, but shout out to you. But I will probably end up reading this today because I mean, they also have Parable of the Talents. Oh, it says coming soon. Did it publish?
No. It was supposed to be published already, but there was like a hold up, so it just hasn't, been published yet.
All right. Parable of the. So I would think that you would have like the old version.
No. I just settled for getting a new version because it has the art by Paul Lewin, which I really love. So I just got this one. I did want the version that had the introduction by N.K. Jemisin. Because there's a version that has an introduction by her. And I read the introduction. And so what she basically says is like, she read this in the 90s. N.K. Jemisin read this in the 90s. And her first read, she did not like it at all. She was like, how would we go from where we are now to that in 2024? That doesn't make any sense. And then she said, upon her reread, maybe 10 years later, in the 2000s, she was like, oh. And she says she started liking it a lot more because she could see the plausibility in the story itself and the environmental disasters, etc. And so let me see if I can pull up the version that has her forward in it, so that way you can see.
Okay.
Maybe you'll be able to read it.
Hey, Gabby. How are you? Hey, Cool Gamer. Same. This is everybody. Oh my gosh, I'm glad you guys liked it. I thought it was okay. And we'll get into it. Hey, Elises. Hey. First, I want to know other people's ratings on this first before I give my ratings. Hey, D. This book, one, I would say my first impression of the book was 2025. That's around the corner. You know, my first impression, I was like, oh my God, 2025. And of course, it was published way before then. But I was just like, okay, this is giving Walking Dead vibes. This is apocalyptic, that word that I can never say because it's too many syllables. But it's just giving, again, Walking Dead, the survival. So I just want to know. What did I say? My favorite. You said okay. 4 stars. I love dystopian fiction. I love books with traveling. Okay. Like you're literally traveling. I will say it was extremely. What I loved about this book, before we get into the story, is I felt like it flowed so much. We were not heavy jumping from one thing to another. There is a time gap when they're on the what do they call it? Not the settlement. I'm gonna call it I don't know, the little fortress. I think that's what they called it. Because one of the girls was like, "You're moving to a new fortress." And she was like, "You're crazy."
Oh, you're talking when at like in the beginning slash middle when Lauren was talking to the girl who was supposed to be moving with her family to Olivar.
Yes.
And she was like, "You're just trading one fortress for another."
And
And
yeah.
then the girl was like, "At least Olivar has guns and it's protected by soldiers." And then Lauren responded back to her like, "Okay, but who has the guns?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Not
y'all,
you.
y'all don't even have your own guns, so why would you feel protected?"
Right. So, I mean, there's a gap from the time that the main character, what's her name? When her dad died, and
Lauren.
Lauren, I don't know why I was thinking something else. When Lauren's father died, to like 3 years later or something like that, when they finally got invaded by the scavengers or thieves and whatnot, and started burning down their building and their homes, not buildings but homes. But other than that, I will say compared to the other series that we have run, it is not hopping. It is a very consistent story. Like when she leaves, you're on that journey with them. You're feeling like you're going from one city to another to another. It flows so well. So well. So as far as synopsis, you're so much better at it.
I can give the synopsis.
You can't?
I can, yeah.
Whoa, okay.
So
We do it
it's a
together. I'll pitch in.
yeah, when it starts off, I think Lauren is like 16, so it starts off in 2024, and Lauren is the daughter of a preacher, a Baptist like preacher, and but at the beginning of it, she establishes that she no longer believes in her father's God,
Yeah.
but she doesn't at first explain what she means by that. She just continues with the story. So she's getting baptized in the very beginning of it, and then they see some really harrowing images on the way to the church for the baptism, just to paint some what do you call it, like environmental like lore. There's like
Mm-hmm.
a woman in the background, you know, just just disheveled,
Yep.
and they gotta ride past her on their bikes like they don't see her and can't help her. So she gets baptized. You learn that she's in a relationship with somebody in the neighborhood. You learn what kind of situation she lives in. I pictured her living in some kind of like cul-de-sac, gated off neighborhood where they have a key, and they protect each other. They, different families stay up and watch and patrol at nighttime at different times. And so, yeah, so Lauren lives in this gated community, and in this community, um, they protect each other, but Lauren has this feeling that something is going to go wrong eventually, so she wants to prepare. And so she's reading books about indigenous and Native American plants and what they did with them. That's a book that she lends to her friend. Um,
They
she,
really feel like a true community. I
yeah,
mean, everybody has their doubts, and you can tell. Like even the father is like, some will follow through, some will do it, some won't. And he's like, you just got to keep teaching. She's like, but why? This is gonna happen. Um, and I think that the preparation that they were trying to do within the community, like again, your success of survival was based off of if you did it or not. That's just facts. But they were definitely really they used their talents. They used what they had to offer. They even mentioned how like it doesn't rain often, but when it rained, the roof, like nobody gets the roof fixed. So men just get on the roof and like repair with whatever material they have. And so I like that sense of community.
and I think this book in particular is very big on community. I remember talking my best friend who lives near me is not a fan of Octavia Butler. But Octavia Butler is my favorite author. So sometimes I'll be talking about her. I talked to her about Parable of the Sower, and she just didn't understand. She was not understanding. And she was like, well, I get that the main character makes a religion, but like, why does it matter? What does it do? What is it for? What does it help? And at
Mm.
first, when I first read the book, I had read the book, but I couldn't give her a clear answer. And so this is like my third time reading through the book. And so finally, I have an answer.
Mhm.
And I'm like, it's community. The answer is community.
Community.
It's community. You're bringing a sense of community together. And so I think I enjoyed this book for that reason. I think it's perfect that N.K. Jemisin did the I sent in the private chat to you
Okay.
the link to that version of Parable of the Sower with N.K. Jemison's forward. I think it's
Mhm.
perfect that she did the forward because if you've read the fifth season or especially the Obelisk Gate, it's very big on community and what to do in an environmental disaster. You come together as a community. And I think that N.K. Jemison took that directly from Parable of the Sower and Parable of the Talons, coming together as a community.
I don't
So,
see it. Where is it? I mean,
oh,
I have the link, but this it just popped up the Amazon page.
oh, I think this is the version. That
Oh,
version.
it's in this book. Okay.
It's that book. Yeah, it's that
Okay.
book. But if you type in like Parable of the Sower, Octavia Butler, April 3rd, 2019, because that's when it was released. N.K. Jemisin forward, you might be able to read the forward online.
Okay. All right. I'll look that up while you.
But yeah, they have like this sense of community, but Lauren has this feeling in the back of her mind that something is going to go wrong, or something could go wrong, or there's a possibility. And so she wants to be prepared. So she kind of goes to her father about certain things that she wants to change in the community, little things that she wants to do into the community. And her father agrees with some of them, but then doesn't agree with all of them. But then she ends up clashing heads when, that book about indigenous plants, she gives it to her friend and tells her friend, you should read this so that way we're prepared just in case something happens. And that conversation alone scares her friend so much to tell her mom. And then her mom talks to Lauren's father, and then Lauren's father's very upset with Lauren. I think he was upset with her because he felt like she was panicking the girl.
Yeah.
Um,
They weren't ready to hear it.
yeah, they weren't ready to hear
I
that.
mean, the intention was very innocent, right? Like she thought she was her friend, and even afterwards, she was like, "I feel betrayed." Like, you know, why would she tell on me? I was really just trying to just prepare her for that. So,
She was
yeah,
just
that
trying
was
to help.
she really was.
And the fact that the first time I read that, I was pissed. I was like, no way. No way she told on you. All you did was give her a damn book. like, um, but is this a conversation with spoilers? I read the book. Papa says, yeah, we're going to be talking about spoilers, but we're just talking about the overview of the book now. Um, and how Lauren came from a community and then disaster strikes, and eventually her solution is to come back to a community or create a community. Um, so after Lauren, her father talks to her about what she had said to her friend about the Indigenous Plans book and being prepared in the future, just in case disaster strikes, just in case they get attacked. Lauren realizes like I can plan for the future, but I really need to keep this to myself because they're not ready to hear what I have to say about what I think is going to happen to us or what could possibly happen to us. So let me keep this to myself. So she keeps planning. She makes a little backpack that she can, a runaway pack that she can throw in her bag and run away if something happens. Yeah.
Her grab and go.
Her grab and go pack. Yep. And she makes a grab and go pack. And even though she's still worried that things might happen or pop off, she tries to stay as calm as possible. And then her father goes missing. Well, first she has siblings, so her brother Keith, who I think is like 11 or 12 years old, he runs away. And when he comes back, he sneaks back into the house. He's got nothing but his drawers on, beat up, bloody, just, in dire straits. And the dad is so upset. Doesn't the dad like beat him up?
Beat
Or
him.
he beats him.
He beats him.
He beats him. And yeah, he beats him.
I think that was, even though Lauren says like she mentioned something along the lines of like, I hated him as much as I loved him. That was her step brother. But like she said, he was off for himself. It wasn't in her mind. She's so young. She's already trying to build that community, right? She knows what she wants. She doesn't know how to execute yet and hasn't started it. But he wouldn't have been a good fit for the community at all. And so I think that was a bit of a transition and a wake up for the family itself, where you can see the father like, okay, let me show you where all of these things are. Let me show you where, the extra money is and the stuff in the backyard. And let's really hone in, because I feel like I could lose my family at any point.
Yeah. And that's when it just took a turn, because, Keith runs away and he comes back, and then he runs away again, and then he comes back, and the second time he comes back, he's wearing better clothes. He's doing better. He says he's been helping a gang. He's been, reading for this gang and reading the things, like basically him stealing high technology and then breaking it because they didn't know how to read the instructions. So he's helping them use this technology that they don't know how to read the instructions on. And for that, they're letting him live there and they're rewarding him. But something goes wrong because, after a couple of weeks of him showing up and dropping off money to Corey and gifts to the younger boys, he turns up dead, skin from the neck down.
Yeah.
With his eyes gouged out, just terrible. And, tortured.
Completely. And they said that they could recognize him, but barely.
Yeah.
And that, to me, like, you had something to offer, but they were done with you, right?
Like, what if they had a fight with another gang? And they lost that fight.
Him and like pop out his eyeballs.
The other gang, like if they're rivals, like
yeah, but why would they take the time to do all of that?
I don't know. He must have, and I thought to myself, like, did he kill someone else out there? Because he told the story about the old man and how he killed the old man and took the thousands from him and took his stuff. And he had no remorse for that. And so that was the indication of like, okay, this character obviously has moral problems.
Right.
But like, I thought to myself, did he kill somebody else and their family came for vengeance? Or was it the gang that he was helping? They were done with him and then they
I definitely assumed something along the lines of either or. Like, you're stealing in order to make the money, right? You're part of the gang. And I think that this definitely has like, the whole book has like realistic elements to it, even though it's sci-fi. Like, I feel like this could be an amazing California story. Like, and I can see all of these things happening. I mean, it gives that creepy element of Octavia where she's like explicitly telling you about the eyeballs missing and the skin and all different types of things. But then also, you were in a gang. You out there stealing money. And then you bring the money home and then you brag to your family about what you have and the new stuff and all of these things, as if we're not going through a whole thing, apocalyptic.
And you know what? There was a part in the book where Keith says to Lauren, he's like, I don't, what does he say? It's just basically, I don't give a damn what you have to think because I'm doing my thing as a man. And I told my friends that Corey lives here. I told my friends that my mom lives here and they know to stay away from this place and they protect this place. So I had always thought like, the gang that was protecting his place like got wiped out, or I always thought they got wiped out. I was like they got attacked and turned on him, but it would make more sense if they let the information slip and people went over there and attacked. And then after her brother goes missing and turns up dead, her father ends up going missing a little while after that.
Oh God. I think that was a turning point for me, where the father was such a key to the community. Not only being the pastor and preaching, but teaching about guns, right? And he didn't, as long as they were able to hold it. I mean, some of these kids were young that were learning how to shoot, and he was actively teaching them, as opposed to, like you said, the officers only having the guns, right? No, men, women, children are out there learning. He was such a key pillar in the community that the moment they said, oh, well, he's, he didn't come back. I was like, that's it. The man that died. the whole community is about to tumble. I just knew it. I knew it, that the wife, no matter how she to me, it was, I mean, again, I get the relationship and her being the stepmom and stuff like that, but I did not feel at any point, even when Keith was missing, that she could hold up that family. I did not feel that at all. And so I just knew. I said, it's about to tumble. It's about to tumble. He set up guard protection. He gave out strategies. He kept hope alive for the community. And the moment he was gone, I said, oh, that's it. Damn. Damn.
It just fell apart the moment he went missing. And
yeah, it did give a little cult vibe.
And that it did. And once we read next month, are we reading Parable of the Talents next month?
This month.
Yeah. This month, yes. Parable of the Talents this month, discussing it next month. So, you get into more of like, is this a cult? Isn't this a cult? When you get to book 2. But book 1, it was very like culty.
Yeah.
It was very culty. But I could, I listened to it with my boyfriend. It was his first time listening to it, and he was like, honestly, it doesn't sound as bad as like some of the religions I've heard, because like she hasn't said about anything punishing you, and she hasn't said anything about hell. She just basically says, God is change. Adapt to change.
Adapt.
Yeah.
Free will, right? And she even talks about like the choice to choose, right? And yes, she's quoting Bibles, things from the Bible, verses from the Bible and stuff like that. But she talks about that, where she's just like, she finally comes up with the word for it, and she like, make a choice, right? Make a choice. We have to protect the children here and whatnot, but yeah, it doesn't seem horribly, like, it still gives hope in it, but it's so vague that it doesn't still seem like a religious belief. I don't know. So still, I thought that when she kept saying it, I thought it was like some type of disease at first because I was like, I'm not understanding what this is. And people are acting weird, and is there a virus going on? Because you never know with Octavia. Just I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
But her dad goes missing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's, I don't know. I don't remember how much time in between him missing, maybe months. Um, they set it up so Corey would take over his classes virtually, and then somebody would go in person for her once or twice a month, and then Lauren would take over the daycare during the days.
Mm-hmm.
But that did not last long because they started having break-ins where people were setting fires to basically disguise their criminal activity of theft. So they set fire to the character Wardell Parrish. They set fire to his house, and his sister and her children. They all died in the fire. None of them made it out. So he ended up staying with Lauren's family for a couple of weeks before he just decided, fuck it, I'm going home. So he
Mm-hmm.
went home. And then, there was the old lady that they attacked.
God.
The bandits broke in, attacked the old lady, assaulted her, and then she ended her life because she was so upset.
Yeah.
And eventually, there's an attack, and Lauren has to grab her grab and go bag and go. And the attack happens. Houses are on fire. People are being shot. Guns going off. And
Mm-hmm.
Lauren trips and falls, and Corey and the boys run off without her and leave her behind. And she subsequently ends up running in the opposite direction because
Yeah.
from what it sounded like is like Corey and the boys were running towards town through the front gate to leave, and Lauren was leaving through the back. That's what it sounded like. It's like she started leaving through the
Yeah.
back. But Lauren leaves the cul-de-sac town area that she's from, hides somewhere out at night, and then goes back in the morning to see the damage. And Dee says they stole his key to the gate. Is that why he got beat? I think
See, that's why I was
so.
thinking that it was his gang that did it because, like, they had his key. They knew where it was, and they were thieves already. So maybe.
Like, I think he also had a BB gun the first time he left. He had the key and the BB gun,
Right.
and they took his clothes, shoes, BB gun, and the key. And then the second time he went out, he stole the Smith and Wesson. He stole Corey's gun
Mm-hmm.
and went out. But he came back and was okay. Came back a couple more times and then ended up dead.
Yeah.
I really think he got beat up just because.
Yeah.
Like, just because it's harsh. It's a harsh world. He had a BB gun. They wanted what he had.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they
Um,
just wanted what he had when he went out there.
Nora says that's why they didn't destroy his face because they wanted them to know it was him.
Yeah. And it was like, it had to be some kind of revenge thing or something.
Hey, Adrian.
Hey.
Exactly, it felt real. Apocalyptic. Apocalyptic. That's an easier way than me trying to say apocalyptic. It's too many syllables. I can't do it. I've taken years of speech classes and I don't know. I still struggle. But yeah, so afterwards, then she finally goes back. And now she's like, don't fuck with me. Like,
Yeah.
she even tells them, like, something along the lines of that. And they get out her way.
Yeah.
And I thought, look at how confidence could just, like, you don't even got to fight them. You ain't got to raise your gun. But she walked in there and she grabbed whatever was left.
Yeah.
Her money that she had stashed away, which was quite a bit compared to what I would assume someone so
Yeah.
young to have. She's not even 18 at this point. And she had quite a bit on top of the money that was sitting in under the tree
Yeah.
or in the ground outside.
Yeah.
So,
She had a good amount.
yep, she did.
She had to. She had to get that money. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. The removal of his eyes was to show that he shouldn't have seen what he saw. Punishment was for stealing and using tech. Makes sense.
I felt like it was a personal attack as well.
It was a pillar. He had to go, and so I mean, even with the father, like there's the way that the people when they came back, I felt like it was them. Like I felt like they set him up. They set him up. They dropped him off so and so at whatever so and so spot, and you just came home without him. Like you just came home without him. How? You didn't think that was important? You just, I don't know. I could be just like overthinking it, but I did think that it was part of the community. They really were scared at all of the things that he was trying to get them and teaching them, the guns, the prepared, being prepared for all of the things. They were terrified of it. And after Lauren opened her mouth, like that kind of set off, this preparedness that they needed to do in order to survive. So I don't know. I just assumed teaching survival more than one way includes his preaching. Yes. Yeah, I didn't like his wife at all. Yeah, I didn't like her. Corey was trash. Or Seed. Yeah. Originally, I wasn't able to relate to the city. Got stormed, but when the pandemic popped off, the disorientation, not only what to do, everything in flux makes me think of what they may have felt. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I highlighted this right here because when she goes back, she says, the scavenger that you're talking to, that you mentioned, when she tells the scavenger to get away from her, the scavenger says, I highlighted this. She says, she died for us, the scavenger woman said with the green face. Some kind of insane burn the rich movement, Keith had said. We've never been rich, but to the desperate, we look rich. We were surviving and we had our wall. Did our community die so addicts could make a help the poor political statement? So that made me think of like, when the billionaires went into the submarine and then like the tragedy happened and the submarine blew up and then everybody was like, "Oh, who cares about the billionaires cuz burn the rich, burn the rich." Yeah, I was specifically thinking about that when I was reading this, and that character was just like, Lauren was like, "Is this a burn the rich movement?" But we weren't even rich. But to other people who were less fortunate, we appeared rich. So they wanted to take what we had. And so that really stuck with me. Like in 2023, could something like this happen where a neighborhood gets attacked by less fortunate people because they want to burn the rich? I could see it.
Yeah.
Their idea of burn the rich,
You have more than what we have. So let's take it. Let's take it. How do you feel about the Fibro addicts? Wasn't her Lauren's mom one?
Pyro was from the new drug, but the old drug that her mom was taking is what gave her the hyper empathy. But pyro is the new drug that the addicts are taking that makes them like, she said that enhances the visuals of fire, which is why they call it pyro, and that's why they like to set fire, because it gives them hallucinogenic effects when they look at fire.
what's the point of that?
and I don't know, drug addicts want to escape, so
Yeah,
I don't know. And
maybe that's why they set everything on fire.
yeah,
So it looks pretty cool. I don't. I don't know. I mean,
I,
if you get high off of looking at someone's house burn down, I want the assets. I want the home, the roof over the head. I want a warm place. I don't want to sleep on the floor. I mean, I in my eyes would not take anything that enhance how the visuals of fire. Who cares? Is it gonna keep me warm, or am I about to burn down a whole kitchen where all the food is in a bed? I don't know. They were definitely psychos. And I remember the brother Keith talking about that, and talking about how crazy they were and how they were losing it. Um, but after that, after she goes and collects everything, all of the money and clothes and different things like that, she sees a couple of friends from the community and she's like, "Let's go." Like they make a whole plan, and you can really see that's the start of her journey north, headed north of California. um and people, and throughout that whole time while she's traveling, making life work, right, adapting to living outside and keeping guard and staying safe and having to buy supplies, you can really see that people are drawn to her. Literally drawn to her. Like I hopefully we find out later on, but um, you know, people, they just tie themselves to the little group. I think how many does it start with? Like three, right? The girl and the
yeah.
guy.
It's
Um,
Harry Bolter,
mhm,
and then Zara. Can't remember her last name. Moss,
mhm,
and then Lauren Olamina, and those are the three that make it out. That make it out of the town together, and they start traveling north.
mhm. At that time, Lauren decides, well, I want to dress like a man or be a man, or
Yeah,
implies something along those lines where you know, that way people are not looking them as like a weak group, but also that she doesn't really care, like cut my hair, do this, do that, I don't care.
yeah,
Or at least that's the vibe that I get from her. So um but yeah, that was once they are traveling, they have the money, they have the guns, um you know, they're able to get refreshments and they're meeting other people, and especially like some of the stories and the kids. Oh gosh, the first one that got me was the one that they were sleeping, um and um a woman was shot with her kid next to her, and the kid didn't have anyone, like whatever group she was in, like took off. I mean, there was a bunch of gunfire, so rightfully so, but like they didn't even check on the kid. And I was like, oh no. And the guy was like, well, his mother was shot, so I'm gonna add him to our group. And like people are just, I don't know, that kind of got me. But I love being able to see and like the visuals that she gave throughout the story, even down to like the smell of their clothes. I remember there was a point in time where she says she was able to take a bath, um, and the clothes smelled like sea salt. Um, and I mean that was like days later, right? They were trucking it along just on foot, and she talks about how she's not used to walking and how her feet were hurting and different things like that. The little supplies that they were able to get, um, you know, they just had to make it work. Even the drinking water, right? Like drinking river water versus like using whatever tablets to purify the water and stuff like that. It's definitely a very, very vivid visual book. And again, from the time that she leaves the fortress, it flows so well. Like you're not hopping around. You're just on this journey, walking up North Carolina or headed north of wherever they're at in California. I think they
So they start off in Southern California.
huh
They start off in Southern California, which is actually
right.
around where I live. So
I
like
think Sacramento.
around, she says she was near, they were complete, the people that she met were talking trash about LA people, people from
Mm-hmm.
LA. And she was like, let me not say anything because I'm from LA. So she had come from all the way LA trekking up because the town that she was from, Robledo, is a made up town that Octavia Butler made that's supposed to be basically Pasadena, where she's from. And
Mm,
Pasadena is not far from me. It's like not that far from LA. That was her hometown. That's where she was born and she went to school. So Robledo was supposed to basically be like a Pasadena.
that's pretty cool because they make it all the way from there to Sacramento,
Yep,
which
all
is
trekking all the way up California.
that's insane. And I remember there's a point in time during that journey where she finds like she's getting money and jewelry and different jewels and different things like that off of people that are dead, just sitting there. And so she's able, even the mother who passed away, who was shot and killed um, during that gunfire, that had the kid, the boy. She was able to get thousands of dollars off of her and like a ring. And then it talks about, oh gosh. This is why it got me, because that whole scene, she made up a whole story about it. Like it talked about their wedding. It showed photos, their wedding marriage certificate, I believe. It provided like just family history for the child, which was just amazing. Like you can lose it all, but the little pieces of paper and pictures, she wanted to make sure that she had that wherever she went, right? You leave the furniture, leave the whole house, but just take the most. And it was just in a little baggie, and just take something so simple that means so much and will mean so much to the child, who just whines and runs off and is like a little brat in the beginning. Rightfully so. He wants his mom. He's young. Um, but she's able to like get money off of all of these dead bodies. And then they see people right before that incident, they see people eating a leg.
It's little kids too.
And
She
the
said
dog had a arm, a kid arm or
yeah,
something like
she said like they're walking and then they see the group of like kids who look between 10 and 12 years old, and the girl is pregnant. The 12-year-old girl is pregnant. And
that.
then they see her take off a sliver of skin from the leg and eat it. And then she told the group, "Nah, turn around. Nah, nah,
Yep, let's go. No lie, I
turn around."
cringed.
It was
So
so
cringe.
gross.
Oh
I'm just thinking about it. It's just so gross.
God.
She turned the whole group around. She was like, "We're not about to encounter children cannibals because this is just horrific."
I know I tabbed it. I just can't. I don't remember what page it was, but yes, they were like cannibal. Let's run away from this cannibalistic children. Um, God, and they're so young, but they're eating like they've resorted to eating each other. Like, ugh, God, what?
And then she says, like, I don't think they attacked somebody. I think they were just scavengers eating
Yeah.
just the pieces of body left behind. And I was just like, oh no.
Oh, here it goes. It says they were roasting a severed human leg, maneuvering it where it lay in the middle of their fire atop a burning wood by twisting its foot. As we watched, the girl pulled a sliver of charred flesh from the thigh and stuffed it into her mouth. Octavia, again, with the horror elements, like that just to me is utterly disgusting, but this is how she does her sci-fi, and I absolutely love it. Not only is it futuristic, but she is going to make you feel, one, emotionally just devastated, but she's going to creep you out too. I love that. That was, to me, so creepy. Yeah. Anyways,
I don't think it'll be about you having more than we have, but more so you keep getting laws bent to your will to keep you rich. Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
I agree. They were crazy. Yeah, they fucked up too much shit. Oh, yeah.
But they like looking at the fire.
Think about it. You have people who are hot and already on the edge. Then you are told while they're working they can't even have water. It takes a little to piss people off. I mean, you know, only people that say you can't have water are people that are sitting comfortably with their water bottles. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, the charisma is going to play that line between community and cult. Facts. Oops. I like that she gathered people from different backgrounds. Absolutely. This book was very diverse. Just like Amanda protects herself. Yep.
I put that in my review too, that I was very happy with the diversity because there's so many characters of so many different backgrounds. And then this is one of the books that like I actually hear about Afro Latinos. Like there's two Afro Latino characters that she mentions in here. And this was in 1994, I think. So, that's interesting that she would include characters with Afro Latino background back in 1994, when I can't think of a book that I read from there that had Afro Latino representation.
Facts. Absolutely. And I think this was a good point. Like, she was already talking about being a man. And that, again, that fluidity, like back in the 80s, that was not necessarily a thing, but because this is such a sci-fi book, I'm sure that it was just like, oh, that's just weird. But I remember reading about it when she was making her plans. But either way, I mean, it was a protection as well as like just a probably easier life for the trail that she was going to go on. Saddest was the pregnant little girl when they saw while they were traveling. Lawless, yeah.
Yeah, that pregnant little girl was eating flesh.
I'm gonna feed this baby with someone else's leg. When I read about all the money, I figured Octavia factored in inflation, especially how the value of money decreases after global tragedy. Look how much food costs now, post-pandemic.
Because she kept saying, like, there's one point where Lauren says, one of the ladies ended up getting $1,000, and she was so excited, and she was like, oh my gosh, I have $1,000, yay. But then Lauren had told her that's not a lot of money. That will probably take care of you for 2 weeks, and then you won't have it anymore. So $1,000 taking care of somebody for 2 weeks. I'm thinking now, like, I would be able to stretch that. It's just my husband and I. So if I had $1,000, would I be able to make that stretch for 2 weeks to feed us and take care of us?
Barely.
She's like, you're gonna need more money than that because $1,000 is not a lot. So I was really thinking about inflation this time around when I was reading it. Like, damn, how much did money get devalued in this book? I wonder.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just pure genius that she's able to do that, because who's thinking about that? I mean, gas was a dollar back then. You know what I'm saying? Like, vehicles weren't probably, I mean, they were definitely out there, but they were so expensive. You had to truck it, and so between that and then the resources being so limited in this book, it made so much sense. So much sense. I'm just glad they were able to find the money on people. Having some of the bodies, and they still kept their dignity on some of it, like even though that they were stealing from people who were already dead, they didn't go over to people that were like gross and like they wanted to still protect. That's not dignity, but like they still wanted to protect the people of the group, because at this point there's like 8 or 9 of them, and they could just keep showing up, like the 2 girls, that the mom and the daughter, that just showed up and laid down next to the rest of them. Like they're so attracted to her and throughout this book. And they just keep going. They keep following them, and then all of a sudden they're walking, like one of the guys was walking with them, and he was like, "Can I join your group?" She was like, "You already did." Like, you already did. You've been with us like about 4 or 5 miles. I don't know. I'm just making something up, but yeah.
It just really comes down to community. Like the solution, like her solution for disaster is literally like, disaster struck. How can we fix this? How can we survive? How can we make this better? Community. We keep meeting new people. We keep accepting new people, and we don't want to trust them 100% because we want to be safe and we don't want to get robbed. But if we can learn to trust them and they can earn our trust, we can become a big community. And I really like that was her solution, like coming together and helping each other survive.
And not only are they going through all of this, right? We're watching them travel. But she doesn't stop teaching. She doesn't stop teaching. She doesn't stop, preaching Earthseed and whatever it's called. I think it's Earthseed, right?
Yeah.
But she doesn't stop teaching. She doesn't stop preaching. It's just, it allows people, again, with that community aspect, right? You can use each other's talents, but if you're not still growing, they're not still learning, you're not challenging them, and you're not giving them hope, then that's not a community. And I think, like you said, I did not, the one thing that I did not enjoy in this book is how preachy it was. But that was a big part of the book to keep them, so they still had hope. They still had the ability to learn and grow. They weren't just following this leader for no reason. She wasn't just a human being that had nothing to offer. She was teaching them how to read, teaching them how to write, helping them with the kids, and talking to them about Earthseed and the ability to make your own decisions and whatnot. One of the things that I enjoyed is that whenever there was a decision, they gathered together. It was again that community aspect, and so I love that about the Lauren, that she made sure, like, even when those 2 kids, well, technically one was still a kid, but she was a mother, and she I think she was like Asian and something else, but when they were deciding on keeping them, she was like, well, should we keep them? She listened to all of their opinions. They all came up with a decision together. So, yep.
She was Asian and Black, and her daughter was Asian, Black, and Hispanic because her husband had been Mexican, but the husband died, and the grandparents died too.
Yeah.
But
and her 2 boys, she had 3 kids at a age,
and they took her sons. They took her sons with no word, no explanation. Like,
I don't know if they were trying to get to Canada, but they were just headed north.
Yeah, I don't know why I always thought they were headed for Washington.
I don't know. She
I
mentioned Washington though.
I just I just thought like north.
Mm-hmm.
Which do you think would be worse to live in, an apocalyptic future or a dystopian future where you are the bottom of the hierarchy? Dystopian futures are great for people at the top of it. I don't know.
Papa, write a book and then I'll make my opinion. I need more details. Write a book, and then we'll be able to decide. What would you rather? That's my answer.
Damn, that's a good, because I'm still thinking about that. Like,
It's still survival of the fittest type of like. It's still why are those the only two options? I want to live on a fairyland where everyone has the same amount of wealth, the same amount of happiness. Grief is handled really, really well, and mental health is people's number one priority.
Yeah.
I want to live on that world.
Yeah.
Addiction is not an option. Wealth is distributed to everyone, so there's all the same, and mental health is taken care of. That's why I want to live on that world. I don't like these two options.
I need new options, please.
New option me, please. As my niece would say. That gave me Clay Arc vibes. Exactly. When they were talking about people eating people and raping and killing, all I thought about was Clay's Arc. Not that they, I mean, like, well, not necessarily Clay's Arc. What was the last one? The Pattern Master?
Yeah, Pattern Master.
Where they are like really hurting people and killing and raping. But either way, I thought about the Clay's Arc people as well. And that's why I'm so glad we read this after that series, because it just, again, I wouldn't have been prepared for for all of it had I not read the Patternist series.
Oh yeah, the first time I read this, I needed some breaks. I was like, this child what happened to this child? Oh, I need a break. I'll be back, Octavia. I'll be back. Because this is a lot.
Or just one big series. I can see that. There's a lot of connections between the parable of the sower so far, as well as even down to the community, right? In the Patternist series, we see in Clay's Arc, and even Wild Seed, right? Because Wild Seed, the first two books, Wild Seed and book 2, something.
Mind of my mind.
Mind of my mind. There's still a community, right? They still literally, like, all of them are still together. They're still doing, holding their gifts together, teaching each other, raising each other, and whatnot. And then in Clay's Arc, same thing. They have their little compound. They have their little area. They keep to each other. They take care of the kids all together. They share them in. They do, but it's still that, again, that community aspect, and you see that in this book as well. It's more futuristic. I would say the technology, again, it's still giving Walking Dead vibes for me. And it doesn't feel like another world. It feels like I feel like this could be 2025 California, anywhere else in the world. You also, in this book, have the racism and things like that. That was a part of Wild Seed too, right? In the beginning of Wild Seed, where, Dora went over to Africa and came back to the United States, and racism was still very much a thing in the 1800s. And he had his town of whites and blacks, and you had to, talk a certain, I don't know. But it's very much giving similar, just different atmosphere, different disease-like feeling, or I don't even want to say magic system, but like abilities, I guess. So I definitely feel understand this.
Octavia was really big on community, like really big on community. So I've read most of her books except for completing the Xenogenesis series. So I'm just
Mm-hmm.
going through and trying to see like how many books are based on community within her stories.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really like that aspect, and that aspect actually gives me hope. And I remember last month when we covered Bloodchild and Other Stories, there was an afterword where Octavia said, you know, a lot of my books have aspects that make it feel like it's hopeless, but
Mm-hmm.
towards the end there's always like a hopeful ending. There's always some hope at the end that always shines through. And that hope actually gives me hope in real life, because I could see a natural disaster happening and all things going to hell. And if you think about Hurricane Katrina, when that happened,
Oh,
everything went straight to hell. And
everything.
then the thing that horrified me, right? Because you're talking about racism and how it was, you know, it's still a thing. The thing that horrified me that I found out about Hurricane Katrina was that there are actual white supremacists who got their guns and went into the city to go hunt black people who were still trying to get away from the hurricane and the disaster. And these people, it's known, this is known because those specific people were on audio and on video laughing and bragging about how they got to kill inwards for free and they got to hunt inwards, right? So like that was a natural disaster in real life. What was that, 2004? It
Yeah.
was, I think it was like 2004. And so that is what was happening in that natural disaster. So imagine if the big one, the big earthquake happens in California and everything goes to hell, everything's set on fire, everything's fallen through the ground because there was a big earthquake. Like people would go wild. And so
Oh, absolutely.
um it gives me hope, because at the end of her story there's community and there's survivability and they're working together, and that gives me hope for like
Yeah.
any
Which
situation.
I completely agree, which is, again, this is so realistic. Like, it could all happen. Like you said, with Katrina, it was people were out fending for themselves, like having to steal, having to rob, having to hurt people. I mean, there was a lot of amazing things that happened. People from all over the country flew down there to help. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that did not happen. It definitely did. We had people, taking their boats and traveling to Louisiana to help out people. But there was some very horrific things that also happened with Hurricane Katrina, and it was a playing ground for people who are fucking psychotic, and they treated it as such. But this definitely could happen. It could be that much of a disaster, a pharmaceutical drug that makes people crazy and lunatics, and everybody's hooked on it. And next thing you know, the world is in chaos, and you're having to fend for yourself. And so, I don't know. It is definitely giving the Walking Dead vibes for sure in this book. There's a few parallels. Yeah, I can see that. Was Washington dystopia? I don't know. Those are still bad options. When it comes to people having to eat other people, you may want to check out the movie Alive. Papa, no, thank you. I love horror books. I do not care for horror movies necessarily. The visuals are too realistic, and if it was like horror in the 90s and the early 2000s where the visuals weren't as great and the acting was trash, maybe, right? I know what you did last summer, right? Like, I can go back and laugh at those movies, but no, thank you. I do like psychological thrillers, but you talk about heaven now. Hey, equality. That's what I want. I want that. I want that. I want peace and equality. Make me a world, Papa, in a book that has it. That has it. A sanctuary. Realistic that the main character, in essence, was a prepper. Yes. She was running around people who were in their way in denial, and everything went sideways. And they died because of it. They died because of it. I think no matter when I grew up in the Midwest, like we knew September, weatherize your home, right? Like it wasn't a thing. We didn't have to have a conversation about it. Stores started putting the stuff out. Like it just was a thing, right? Seal your windows. There's a plastic that you could take a blow dryer to and seal your windows. So from the inside and the outside, if you think it's going to be a really bad weather, put some foam around the copper pipes. Like make sure your windows and your water hose is sealed. Like I just remember prepping. I remember doing these things. Like it was non-negotiable if you wanted to make it through the winter without any drastic issues. And I forgot about that when I moved to Texas. I forgot about it. I didn't have to do it because we have summer 3/4 of the year. Like this is not, and I lost it. And after 5 years, then we had the Texas weather. And when I did not have electricity for 8 days, I was just like, and you couldn't get a hotel room because everything was booked. I forgot about me prepping. And then I was so disappointed in myself because after like 15 years of doing it, you would think it would be ingrained in me. But I completely forgot. I was so disappointed in myself. But yeah, we should all have some type of, and I know I was talking with Elise's over the weekend about this as well. Like she has a prep bag just in case she gets, her car jacked, right? Like she's driving and she gets her car jacked. 1000%. 1000%. I have all of that.
We have prep bags too. Just a backpack to throw on, and it has an alternate change of clothes and some health items like band-aids and bandages and antiseptic stuff that we can use in an accident, and flashlights, and just we each have one since he's usually gone more than I am. He should keep his in the car since he's usually at work and gone driving around the neighborhood and stuff. But mine's here, or both of them are here, but I'm paranoid, and that's where that came from. Like, if something happens, I want to be able to grab a bag and run.
And go. No questions asked, right? I have a bag. I have a to-go bag as well, with my passports, our passports. I keep it underneath my bed just in case, but like change of clothes, extra underwear, because can't be dirty down there. You know what I'm saying? But I have all of those things as well, as a small first aid kit and whatnot. But I also have like a missing person bag. I've had this for my kid for a very long time, where I update her photo every year and her weight and stuff like that. But just being that prepper, right? Don't be in denial. I know there's so many like conspiracy theorists out there that the world is going to end. The world, like 2012. Remember that? In 2000. Oh my God, Y2K. Like, just, oh my God. You don't have to be that extreme. And there's a lot of like extremeness out there, but you should, just in case, have something.
Remember when the pandemic started? I don't know if that was a thing where everyone was buying all the toilet paper and there was no toilet paper in the store.
Like you wipe the corona off with the toilet paper. Why do
Like,
you need 15 rolls of toilet paper? Are you shitting that much?
there was no toilet paper, and I just remember calling my mom, like, what do I do? Every store we go to has no toilet paper. And she's like, don't worry, like, I buy things in bulk, so I have toilet paper for you. And I was just like, thank goodness. And only reason why we got toilet paper is because my mom had it in bulk. But the pandemic hit and everyone lost their shit,
They lost their
ran
silver
straight
toilet
to the
paper.
Yes, they just ran straight to the store, bought all the toilet paper. You would think the food would be, certain foods were missing too. Like,
Canned
my
goods.
canned goods were all gone. No canned goods because
They were
everybody
gone at my place. They were not gone in Texas, but the
they
toilet
were
paper was gone. The paper towels were gone, and the Clorox wipes was gone. This is the thing that got me. The Clorox wipes were gone, but not the Clorox bottles. Something that's actually gonna kill bacteria, but you just took the wipes. Come on.
like
Make your own paper towel, the own Clorox wipes. Like, let's be smarter than that.
the canned food was all gone here, and then so was, like, when you go buy rice, they had no rice. All the rice was gone. They bought all the rice.
That's
They
what I
like
would go after. Rice and frozen veggies. I would
Yeah,
do that in a heartbeat.
it was canned goods and frozen stuff, and all the frozen stuff, all the canned stuff, all the rice, all the things that were not perishable, they were gone. They were gone. And I was just like, oh my gosh, all I want to do is like grocery shop.
Mm, I don't miss grocery shopping. I went and like restocked up my um I restocked up my deep freezer. So I emptied out my deep freezer, cleaned it out, and filled it back up halfway. I have a really small deep freezer. Filled it up halfway, and it would cost me over $500.
Oh wow,
Yo, this is insane.
so expensive.
It's so expensive, but things like that, like preparing for the next thing, always have things on hand. After COVID and the shutdown, I stopped using a bunch of unnecessary things. I don't buy paper towels anymore. I always make sure that I have canned goods and frozen items on deck at all times. So I keep an inventory of that. And most importantly, if I ever get low on bleach, I'm screaming. I am screaming. I want to bleach everything and Lysol everything. Because I just absolutely have to. I feel like. Let me see. The political aspects were really trippy. I agree.
Oh man, wait until y'all get to book 2. I can't wait till we have the discussion for that.
The paid police, and this was what got me. And I remember one of the characters in the book even mentioned that it could be worse, right? The economy could be toppling down, but we still have police, we still have a fire department, and we still have a political system. And so all of that tells me that not everything is not truly like The Walking Dead where you're on your own, but you have to fend for yourself. But they have police, you just got to pay for them. It even mentioned in the story that the National Guard, right? Like, where are y'all? Get this together. People are eating each other. Like, so not everything, not the whole economy is just completely gone. You just have to pay for it because, maybe the government finally went broke in 2027. I think she writes on community because she knows that humans are a pack of animals and we flourish in communities. Facts. Regulated government taxation. How would emergency service get paid? Exactly. Again, whether you pay out of pocket for governmental help and police help and the National Guard, you pay out of pocket or you pay the government so they can pay them, right? People have to get paid. People want those jobs. Like, otherwise there's no incentive to work. There's still tribes that are cannibal. Biology has ruined me for life. Oh, just so you know, human meat. Oh. Okay, scientists. That just, oh man, I fell down the rabbit hole.
And that reminds me, I need to I have canned goods, but like you're supposed to restock them every couple of years because they only last like so many years, 5 years or whatever. So I have to check my canned goods to see if they're still like viable. That reminds me. Thank you, Parable of the Sower, for reminding me to prepare for disaster.
Prep your bags and make sure you have things. Soccer team that crashed in the mountains and was up there all winter. Okay, I'm gonna look this up, but it still sounds horrible. A group of Black people in Georgia that pulled their money together and bought hundreds of acres of land. Yes, and they're starting a town. Oh my gosh. I think they read Zora. Yo, I saw that. And I think it was a Black woman that started it, but they're building, like, they have hundreds of acres of land and building a whole fucking community. That's going to be amazing. Lord. I think people make other people feel bad for prepping, but things are rapidly escalating where you should prep. I completely agree.
And the mentality comes from this, like, Octavia Butler captured it so well, because the mentality comes from this deniability of, like, why would you prep? There's no reason to prep. There's no way that's going to happen. I'm not going to let you scare me. You're not going to scare me with your prepping ideas. Exactly. And it's like, it's not invented to scare you. It's not a device to scare you. It's a device to prepare you so you survive when shit hits the fan. And, like, I definitely need to make sure I keep thinking about it now. My canned goods. I'm convinced the world did end in 2012 and we're in hell right now. Earth is so ghetto.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Earth is ghetto as hell.
Earth is ghetto as fuck. Trash, especially the United States. I say it all the time. Y'all know how I feel about this ghetto ass country. I don't give a fuck. I think my ancestors are probably looking down at me like, we should have left this bitch a long time ago. Like, fuck this place. But yes, Earth is ghetto. It's trash. I don't know. It was dumbass microbiologists in freaking Australia that started the toilet paper frenzy. God. Not a scientist telling us to go buy toilet paper because of limited supplies. And I think, and this is what gets me on people who feel the need to buy that much, because for whatever reason you feel like you need an abundance, but what about the next person? That happened with tampons as well. And I kept hearing all over the news, like, a tampon shortage. First of all, what are we really talking about? A tampon shortage? Or are people just massively stocking up on them because they're afraid that they're not going to be able to get any? First of all, if we were that freaking desperate, go have a Diva cup like the rest of us and keep it moving. There are reusable, whether you're grossed out about it or not. If you are in that much of a desperate need, go get you a Diva cup, go get you a reusable pad, and let's keep it moving, baby. You know we're gonna get another. I mean, like, I went and there were still tampons there, but there was more pads. Okay, so you can't stick something up your cuckoo. I'm sorry. Grab something else. You got options. We've been bleeding since Adam and Eve, okay? She been bleeding out her little twat since Eve, okay? Baby, we've always been like this. We gonna make it work. So it's the extremism of, like, buying because of a shortage. Like, calm the fuck down and save some for the next person that actually really do need it.
And they never buy the right shit. What are you buying all the toilet paper for? What the fuck are you buying all the toilet paper for? How much do you expect to shit, bitch?
Right, like, you just gonna be sitting at home just eating and shitting the whole time. There are so many memes about people in other countries. Like, we don't use toilet paper. We use cups of water, and we use water, and it's more hygienic and does not leave paper residue. Like, there is There are so many other things. Girl, figure it out. Okay. But I realized there is no way that when something does happen again, I have my reusable cleaning towels. I don't buy paper towels anymore. I make sure that I buy the moment I get 5 toilet papers or less. But I have alternative. Like I went and researched, like just in case, how do I save on XYZ and reuse this and reuse that? The only thing I really will be worried about is electricity, because I don't have a generator, and as much food prep as I have, a lot of my stuff is frozen. So I would only be worried about that. I'm not worrying about no fucking toilet paper and get out of here with that. Like
They're always prepping on the wrong shit. They're not thinking.
I prepped extreme for Y2K. Nothing happened. Then so much later, we got a tornado, and this was Ohio. Power and water was out for 2 or 3 days, and we ended up having everything we needed.
That's really lucky.
That's so lucky, though. And I mean, they say Ohio is in the Midwest. I don't think so. I think it's more East Coast, but whatever. When you're in an area that has a lot of tornadoes, they have tornado shelters. They also have basements. And so like it's so easy to have all of those things just in the basement ready to go. 2-3 days is a lot. It's not terrible. It's not terrible, but it's enough to lose food over for sure. So definitely I learned my lesson with that winter storm. I was like, there's no way. I didn't have water for 2.5 weeks. And even then I still had to boil it. I went and got like a Costco pack of Life straws, so then that way we could drink water. I don't buy bottled water anymore. I have 5-gallon tanks that I can take to a store and refill it. I made sure. I was like, I am not going through this again at all. At all. It was so stupid. People were staying home like they should have been super fresh. Wash your goodies after you use the restroom. It's not like you're in a rush to leave the house, period. Which is why a lot of cultures just do this. They say just wash. Take a cup, rinse it off, grab a towel, and wash it off. You will survive, okay? Keep it clean. My first prep step was leaving the country, but even then, you still have to prep where you are. Yeah, no matter where you go, there's some type of something, right? California has wildfires and earthquakes. Midwest has a lot of tornado and hail, and not just little hail, like damaging, like I'll put a hole through your car hail and a hole through your house. In the South, we have hurricanes, tropical storms, hail, very few tornadoes. I mean, we have tornadoes, but not to the extreme of what the Midwest has. And then the East Coast, again, tropical storms. They have really, really cold winters that are devastating. And then they also have the hurricanes and other miscellaneous weather issues. So no matter where you go, you're having to deal with something. You just have to, again, adjust, right? Earthseed, right? Like adjust with the times. So yeah, for sure. Is doing something in different places, Black built towns and communities. I can't wait for them. She came from a bug family. Even though our family size was small, she always sucked up. I am her child. I have everything I need during the pandemic. Facts. I wish I had space to be able to do more. I think that's something that eventually because you don't need half the stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't need half the stuff. I think I need it, but I don't. Earth is, the girl that sings Earth is Ghetto, she says something along the lines of like, I have $1 for gas. Can you take me with you? And she's like talking to aliens or people above. Yeah, Earth is Ghetto. I love that song. It went viral during the pandemic. People buying up all the tampons and all the folks because tampons could be used for other reasons, and people were reselling them for. Stop it. Stop it.
Like if you get a bullet wound, you can actually stuff like a tampon.
Yeah, the tampon.
Yeah, so
But
and you can
great
unwrap
emergency
it.
aid. You can definitely use it like a gauze. Like it
Yeah.
is a great emergency aid. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But they're for our vaginas. Back to
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Like, why are y'all buying them all, asshole?
Man, there are people who stocked up and started selling them like crazy, marked up per roll. Some people were absolutely scums, and there's laws against that. Like, at least in Texas, we have laws that protect people from purging, like increasing their prices that drastically. After Hurricane Harvey, or was it before Hurricane Harvey? I don't remember, but we ran out of gas in Texas. Like gas prices, people were you would drive down the street and you would see massive lines of cars for gas stations, and then you would go the next day and you see all these cars just sitting on the side of the road because we actually ran out of gas for like 2 weeks. No lie, I bullshit you not. You could not find gas anywhere. The one place that consistently had gas was Costco and Sam's Club. Of course, you needed a membership to be able to do it, and then they had police escort because of how violent people were getting. I remember in the insurance industry, there was claims like no other because of road rage and people desperately needing gas. They also then had to put restrictions on people filling up these emergency like gas things, gas tanks, and so they would just have like 5 of them and they would fill them up for their vehicles later on because they were scared they were going to run out of gas. But like they would sell them, they would turn around and sell them, and then like some of these smaller gas hubs, gas stations would like increase their prices. I saw one that was like almost $8, and for Texas, well, our gas was like 3 something. You price gouging like that and increasing your so we can report them into the Texas AG's office. But yeah, people are always trying to make a quick buck, and it's like you make a quick buck on people suffering, like that is, you're going to hell. You're going to hell. Come on, we all want money. Yeah, get a beignet. I think it's called beignet, right? No, that's a donut.
A bidet.
A bidet. Make sure you have it professionally installed, because I'm telling you, I can't tell you how many times I've approved claims for water damage that seeps through the floor and damages people's ceiling, especially if you have it like if you have more than one upstairs and downstairs. The amount of water damage and mold in your home property claims, if you have home insurance, most likely will not. 90% of property claims will not pay for mold at all. So if you have mold in your house, it is a hazard to people who would even go in there to work on your home. And it again, property claims or property insurance will not pay for it. So be careful. Make sure that all the gaskets are actively working. You're getting someone that is licensed and insured to install them, because I'm not even kidding when I tell you I wrote a $50,000 check for water damage. I'm not even kidding. We've had some more extremes because water is like an insurance field. We say water is like fire. Water, the thing about water is it seeps and it goes through all of the cracks and it goes everywhere. Just like fire. If the fire goes up, water comes down. So it gets everywhere. It will mess up your floorboards. It will mess up everything. So it's as much of an expense as fire. So anyways, that has nothing to do with the book, but wasn't able to get TP for weeks, and I did have a workaround. I just held it in. Oh no. I ate too many veggies for that. It's coming out. It's gonna come out in somebody's backyard. It's gonna come out somewhere. It's somewhere. Okay. Even if I can't do it in my house, like if my water wasn't working, like when I did not have water at all, I just look, I'm going to somebody's yard and get I had to do what I had to do. I had to pee outside. I didn't have water. The snow had melted. Could not flush my toilets. Um, I was doing it all. Okay. The struggle. All things dealing with menstruation. Right, it's free in Brazil because they care. Brazil also has a 96% like a cesarean section. Like when you give birth, like most mothers, like they want to plan their birth, so they get a cesarean birth. It's like 96%. It's insane. They don't want nothing popping out of them. Skyrocketed, yeah. 9/11. Yep.
I was only 11 at the time, but I do remember. I do remember that gas went really high.
It was insane. It was on a steady level for so long. So long. And then next thing you know, it was like what was it, like a $1.69 or something crazy, which was crazy for us because we were paying like $1. Maybe it even went over $2. I don't remember. But the ending to the book, I thought was amazing. I love that she finally found someone to be with after being with this other kid. You know, she was able to, even as an empath, like, you know, she made that warning, like, you know, I can feel people's emotions and pain and etc. And then he was like, the weird way he asked her to marry her was so cute to me. As they're spending time together, she discloses it, and then she says, "But do you still want to marry me?" And I was like, "Oh, man." And when they finally told the group about his land, that even gave them so much more hope, even though it was in the midst of a conversation deciding if they're going to keep 2 more people. Gosh, I have hopes that it's going to be a great book, the next one, but then at the same time, I feel like it's going to get more political because they're building their home, their the hierarchy within that land. How is that going to work?
I could see that. Yeah, I could see what you mean. Yeah.
So I don't know.
I will say that I read the first one and I felt very emotional about it. Like, oh wow, there was a lot of heavy things in it. But I read the second one and I actively cried at several points. Like, I actively had to pause the audiobook and I was like, you know, tears coming down my face and I'm crying and my husband's like, what's wrong? And I'm just like, Octavia is upsetting me. Octavia has upset me. Like, so I don't think this time reading it will be an exception. I expect to sob. Like, I expect to sob. Ugh.
Papa, is this a spoiler? I think it's the next book. They weren't captured. Well, no. They did go through something because he lost his family. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He ended up losing. I mean, like, he created a newfound family with all of the things that they had to go through and traveling, but yeah, when he lost his family.
It was funny that it was funny that she said Ben Coley reminded her of that one picture of Frederick Douglass.
Who?
Ben Coley, who is the man that proposed to her.
Yeah.
She said that
Douglas.
She said that he reminded her of a picture of Frederick Douglass, and every time I think about Ben Coley, I think about that comment and how he looked like
Old
Frederick
ass man.
Douglass. Yeah.
Old ass man.
But you know what?
That's why I cannot wait to read this one as well because I need to put. I would, because I have the option to put faces, like a visual to a face. I'm definitely gonna take advantage of that and read this.
Lauren definitely looks different than what I pictured.
Mm-hmm.
She looks different than what I pictured at the beginning of the book, but towards the end of the book, she looked like I pictured. Because, she cut her hair to appear like a man.
Right. She found a zaddy.
Yes,
Yo,
she
and the fact that
did.
not only did she find a zaddy with land, he was a doctor. Okay. He was a
Exactly.
doctor. He had a lot more than, just some land to offer.
A generous doctor talking about bring all your culty friends with you.
Exactly. If they gotta come, bring them with. You know what I'm saying? Like, bring them all. Since you're not gonna leave them, come on. He took them all in. Man, Papa stays spoiling. Right. Yeah, she's definitely upsets us. And she's really good. I think between her and Tanana Review, being able to again make you feel that horror aspect is, to me, so intriguing because that's a level of skill, right? Like, and it's not a consistent angry, frustrated throughout the whole book, like you want to put it down. No, you love it, you hate it, you're angry, you're sad. That's that emotional roller coaster of the horror aspect that I absolutely love. Not all books are just cringe-worthy. Sometimes horror, and Tanana Review does this a lot, especially in The Good House. If you guys have not read that, definitely recommend. But she ties on your emotions, and she will make you feel like you're going through a fucking roller coaster. And I get that with Octavia. I really do. I really do. Papa don't know how to not spoil. Right. Apologize. It was a few years ago. I was thinking it was Sower. I'm sorry. I'll retract my question. It's okay, Papa. He sounded so old though, like he wasn't that old, but he sounded straight up old. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like
Yo.
58, but his thought process on some things, like telling her what she could and couldn't do, that's what I didn't like. I was just like, oh, okay, Bencole, but yeah, I know Lauren is 18, but just
Yeah.
remember that she's still an adult and she has her own mind.
Exactly. I put a tab here because afterwards he says, "You're a kid. I have to know better. How old are you anyways? You done been all up inside this woman and now you want to ask." And she said, "I told him," and he was like, 18. He jumped up, pushed me off his shoulder, 18. And then he was like, "My God, you're a baby. I'm a child molester." And she's like, "Calm down, like chill, but yeah."
She
Either way,
said,
I'm glad she found someone, but still, like, come on. She got her sugar daddy, so I can't complain, as much as that would like creep me out. Oh,
I kept thinking like something is gonna happen because she kept looking at him. Oh, I like his beard. Oh, I like his face. Oh, girl, stop looking at him. Stop looking at him. And then he came over to talk to her, and I was like, okay, they're gonna end up together.
yep.
And then they
She
ended up
kissed
together.
him, though. She kissed him.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, her dad did go missing. There is the void there. Maybe it's a daddy issue thing. Maybe it's not. It
Maybe
could
it's
be.
maybe it's a zaddy issue. Like she knows what she has a goal, and she knows how she wants to pursue it, and she wants to find someone in the meantime to it's
And
that
to keep her company.
for real.
And she got lucky because that someone has acres and is a doctor.
Yeah. Right. He has a lot to offer, even if he is old. I ordered the graphic novel yesterday after chatting with the Lisies. I'm going to read it right after book 2. That sounds like fun.
She said right before book 2.
Oh, before book 2. I'm sorry.
Which I'm actually I've had the graphic novel since I got into Octavia Butler, which was like 2 years ago, and I've only gotten halfway through to the part where she reunites with Harry and Zara. So I haven't even read, past the part where she cuts her hair and so, but the art is stunning as always. It's John Jennings' art and Damien Duffy's writing. It won what did it win? I can't remember the award. Eisner? Is it the Eisner Award? Let me look.
Don't give me the line. Oh, sometimes I hate the smell of the books. 2024, the start of all of this, which is creepy because it's like, yo, that's like around the corner.
It won the 2021 Hugo Award for graphic novel, best graphic novel.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
They really are naked in this book too.
Yeah.
It's a little chunky.
They also, do you have Kindred, the graphic novel?
I don't.
It's also by John Jennings and Damien Duffy, which is so funny because I'm Southern California, and John Jennings teaches at a college in Southern California. He was actually one of my teacher's professors for like 3 years. She took his class in a row, 3 years in a row, and I sent him a message on Instagram and I was like, I love your art. I've been such a fan for years. And I was talking to my sister about your work and she told me you were her teacher. And he actually messaged me back like instantly. And he was like, well, what's your sister's name? And I told him and he was like, oh, I remember her. She's very smart. She's very kind, this, that, everything else. And I was like, that's so cool. That is so cool. So like, I try to keep an eye on his works because I'm a big fan of his art.
His art is amazing.
And you know what? I like the way he drew
Then
Corey.
tell me she was reading, and I'm jealous I wasn't in the middle of the conversation. I'm jealous. I'm reading the graphic novel now. I love it. Oh,
it's good.
What does it matter? It's the fucking end of the world. I'm not used to Jessica cussing. Thanks. No worries, Papa. It does make you think at the end of the world, like you throw all your morals and ish out the window. Facts. You're consistently spoiling all the damn time after y'all told him to behave, right?
I thought it was the Eisner Award, but I looked it up and they actually won the Hugo for best graphic novel adaptation. So it's the Hugo for adaptations. Yes, and they have a parable of the Sower opera, which they are traveling right now. They've been traveling, I think, since 2020, since the pandemic. They were like a child of the pandemic, and I have been like crossing my fingers that they come back to Southern California because they keep going in Northern California and I can't afford to fly 2 tickets up there. So I'm like, okay, please come back to like Southern California, come back to LA. We'll treat you right.
Maybe,
I hope. But I would love to go.
Opera.
Yeah, it's by Toshi Reagan and their mother. They are a musician and an artist, and they wrote the songs with their mom. Yeah.
Oh man.
I like my heart is set on seeing that opera one day.
That's so exciting. Look at people are just amazing. So amazing. And even though I'm trying to figure out how to get tickets. Even though Octavia is no longer with us, the work still goes on. I remember reading a quote that says we die twice in life. One when we pass away, but 2 when people stop saying your name and forget who you are.
Yeah.
And so she continues to live on, and people are like pushing her work, right? Like this is something that happened after she passed, but people are making sure that her name and her legacy still lives on, and I think that's such a beautiful thing. That's so amazing.
Such a beautiful thing. And it reminds me, like Zora Neale Hurston, how, she was kind of in an unmarked grave, and Alice Walker took it upon herself to earn the money to buy her a tombstone, a headstone, and because she meant so much. And in the same vein, there's a professor here in Southern California who found that Octavia Butler did not have a tombstone, so she gave her a headstone, bought her a headstone,
Yeah.
and I want to visit it for my birthday. It's not that far from me, and I just want to lay some acorns there and some flowers.
Where is it?
It's in I want to say it's in Pasadena.
I want to go. I need to start planning my birthday. Where I'm going. I'm about to be
Al-
somebody playing somewhere.
it's in Altadena, which is like Los Angeles County.
Mm.
Um,
Wow.
yes, she paid for the headstone, and I thought that was really amazing. So I wanted to go put some acorns. I read her post on, like, I think Facebook or Instagram, where she said that there are some acorns in the area that actually fall off the trees, and so you can gather them and put them by her tombstone. Um, for Earthseed.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was so beautiful. And she's
Yeah.
made such an impact.
So where is Octavia buried?
In Altadena.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Zora. I was like, when she
No,
buried?
I was saying Zora Neale Hurston was buried, but she was buried with with an unmarked grave.
Right.
And Alice Walker, who wrote The Color Purple,
Yeah, she found her.
she bought her a tombstone because
Yeah.
she loved her work and was so, enthralled with
Yeah,
her
she
work.
tracked her down. She did a lot of research. A lot of the books are after they were reprinted were dedicated to Alice for the work that she did to keep Zora's legacy going. Um,
Yeah.
all it takes is one, and I think the Alice Walker is just a perfect example. Since we are reading Zora's most famous work, I've learned so much, and I think that was part of the book that we read last month, that it talked about her unmarked grave and whatnot. And she was already divorced at that point. She didn't have anybody. Like, they just buried her. Like, that was it. But Alice Walker did a lot of good things to find her and make it known where she was, to be able to honor her. But knowing that Octavia is in California definitely gives me some ideas of like what I want to do. And the community that she created in Parable of the Sower, the acorn idea, plus being near an acorn tree, that's symbolic. I love that. Now I'm looking at opera tickets. Like, where are they?
Yeah. I think they're going to the East Coast, like mid East, and then East Coast.
Yeah, I'm trying to find like a schedule. Taxable donations. I don't know. I'm gonna keep looking it up though. But I will be also reading the graphic novel. And I have a lot of big chunky books on my TBR for this month, but I can't wait to read this one. The next book, of course, for July will be Parable of the Talents. I feel like this book is bigger than the other one. It's definitely bigger. There's definitely more pages to the Parable of the Talents. Our live discussion for that one is gonna be August something.
Oh, Papa said I didn't know they gave Hugos for graphic novels. They give Hugos for adaptations. So even movies can get a Hugo award. For example, what is that movie? Damn, I just lost it in my head. There was a movie that came out and it's about magic. The Wheel of Time?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the Wheel of Time movie
One
that just
time.
came out? I think it just won the movie just won a Hugo for best adaptation of like of a book. So even screenplays, oh, it was the screenplay that won the Hugo. The screenplay for Wheel of Time won a Hugo for the best adaptation of a book. So in the same vein, it was Kindred, the graphic novel, that won the best adaptation of a book. So that's how it ended up winning the Hugo. And then Parable of the Talents won the Nebula Award.
Mm.
So, and it won a bunch of other awards too, I think. So, Parable of the Talents was the one that was like heavily awarded, a lot of accolades. Everyone's like loving it. It's if you need trigger warnings though, do look them up.
Yeah. So it's sold out. They don't even have the schedule online. That's crazy. This makes me all think of all the children in third world countries. I don't like that term, right? Who perish namelessly with no name to remember them. I don't know why that came to me. Facts. Yeah. And all of the work that she was doing, it wasn't that people knew her. Like, she was still a popular Black writer, especially with the whole drama and play that she had with Hurston. Um, Hurston? I don't
Was it
remember.
Hugh Langston Hughes?
Langston Hughes. I can't talk. I'm tired. I've been up since right before 5. Anyways, but even then, like, she went through so many jobs. Like, you can look at her timelines and with Zora, and she went through so many jobs and so many different things, that when it came down to getting close to when she passed, I mean, she was like a librarian or something, and just did not have the necessary supports to be able to claim her body. And so, yeah, so sad. So sad. It really shows that we're missing a lot of the village to be able to keep people's name going, in the family. But we will be having our discussion on the 10th, for Parable of the Talents. If I'm again, the book is bigger than the first one. So please take your time with it. After this, we will be reading Fledgling, and I'm so excited for that. I'm so excited. Fledgling was the book that one of my friends, ML, Dr. Professor, she wanted to talk about, and why this whole Octavia read along happened was because of the book Fledgling. So I'm excited to get to it. Kindred, like Elise said, is it's a hard book, and so we're saving it for the end of the year. Thank goodness. I know it's going to be extremely impactful. I can't wait to talk about it. So, anyways, Parable of the Talents, August 10th. We will be reading it. If anybody wants to spoil it, go on somewhere. Go, Papa. What part of behave who we not understand? I'm not understanding this. Go on somewhere. Oh my god, I read Fledgling. I can't wait. I am obsessed with vampires. Obsessed. I'm about to just start the Discovery of Witches series, which has vampires and witches and demons, and I can't wait. So I absolutely love vampires. Anyways, I will see you guys the 10th of August. We will see you guys the 10th of August. Feel free to reach out if you are, wanting to discuss the book in the meantime. So have a good night, guys. Thank you for showing up. Any last thoughts, Maya?
No, just hold yourself steady when you're reading Parable of the Talents, and take breaks if you need to. It's okay to take breaks, and it's also okay to look up trigger warnings if you feel in your soul that you need some protection for your mental health.
Please do. I think a lot of us are not triggered by a lot of things. But yes, please look up trigger warnings if you absolutely need to. If Papa don't put his white church shoes on and go somewhere, shiny church shoes, and walk away. Go somewhere else.
Not if anybody needs spoilers, you could come in my DMs.
All right, guys. I will see you guys. I will see you guys on Sunday. For sprints. Maya, you're always welcome, of course. But good night, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.